Hey, Sean. How are you
Hello,
doing?
how are you? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really well, really well. It's uh,
Excellent.
it's been a bit of a slow news week, but not a bad one, I think.
No, I mean, no bad news. Shadowfall came out. I still got to read Alphabet Squadron. It's on my shelf, but
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And I mean, I pre-ordered Star Wars Squadron
Oh,
um,
nice.
off Amazon. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
slow
been a bit
news
of a
week.
slow news. Consumerism's up. That's probably about it. Lots of stuff to spend our money on.
That's it. And because I'm not spending money on Actually, I'm not spending money on avocado breakfast, and now I've got more money. So maybe those old fuckers are right.
Yeah.
Maybe that boomer logic works, but I'm just putting it all into buying Star Wars books off eBay.
They've got to be right about something because I mean, if you get on Facebook, uh, they're God, they're not right about a lot of things. They're screaming into some voids that they only live in. It's awful.
Yeah.
Nice segue though. If you want to maybe run us through all of our socials.
Yeah. So talking about capitalism, so obviously, Blue Bantha Milk Co is on Facebook and YouTube. I run the Facebook. We cooperatively run the YouTube, which is not really important, except for this, because the Twitter account is Blue Bantha Milk, which is run by my good friend Matt. Him. And it's actually I do, even though I'm not on Twitter anymore, I do still dip into the Twitter sphere and just have a bit of a look at how the page is doing, and it's good. It's nice and it's good. It's political. It's a force for good. Another force for good is to give us some money via Patreon. Yes.
Give us that money.
Yeah. And finally, buy some of our wonderful merch at shop.bluebanthamilk.co. T-shirts, hoodies, singlets, masks, stickers, the whole schmear of opportunities to spend your money.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable thing, I think, pushing merch and stuff like that at this point in time.
It is.
I find it a little bit like, God, when T Public came out and said, oh, hey, by the way, now we're selling face masks. I was like, yeah, of course you are. It's really opportunistic. But hey, our logo looks really good on people's mouths.
But it is, yes.
Capitalism, yay. Anyway, we actually have a topic today, and it was kind of obscurely titled on the video we've put here, "Something Inside of Me." Now that references a scene in Star Wars, and we're going to start talking a little bit about that. To do that, I'm going to introduce our guest. It is Shannon from Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge.
Hello.
How are you?
Greetings from London.
Wow.
Oh God, yeah. It's people watching in the premiere and hanging out in the live chat. If you're doing that, thank you. We're actually having this conversation at odd times for us. Normally, it's morning for you, isn't it, Shannon?
Yeah, it's 11 a.m. right now.
Yeah, okay, and it's like a bit past 8 p.m. for us.
Yes, which I should clarify. That's why I have a beer. It's not Monday morning. Like I haven't completely gone off the rails. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that anyone's watching this is not like, oh my
hilarious.
God, someone needs to check on Sean.
You'd be completely forgiven though if that was the case.
True.
Not going to hold it against you. I mean, hey, it's isolation. We've got to do things to entertain ourselves.
Exactly.
True. Very true.
Very much so.
So obviously, Shannon, it's Pride Month, so we put a bit of a call out to people that we know in the community that would like to talk about, I guess, what that means to them and how that relates to their relationship with Star Wars. And in chatting with you, you brought up a particular scene in Star Wars that you wanted to talk about. So I thought, let's play that or a little bit of that scene, obviously for copyright and whatnot. Yes. But let's get that up and we'll play it and then we'll have a chat.
The Resistance sent me. We need your help. The First Order to come and stop.
Why are you
Audio
here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I'm afraid.
Can we just watch The Last Jedi for this stream? Can we just go back and just watch the whole film?
The whole movie.
Oh, it's
whole
yeah.
movie.
I know you're with me, guys, because me and Sean actually had a lovely episode earlier this year, and we all are obviously very big fans of The Last Jedi. The tricky thing is when you use clips of The Last Jedi, because I've done this in a couple of my documentary things. Wow, they really get you on those YouTube like grab
Yeah,
yous, like
yeah. It's really unfortunate. As I was clipping that or getting that little part of that clip out there, and I could hear the Force theme just starting in the background. I was like, no, let's stop it right before it actually does anything identifiable, because
well, it's not even just like the music anymore. It's the images too, I've noticed. But
Really?
yeah, they've got that movie algorithmed hard, really hard. But yeah, because the second part she goes into of saying, I'm afraid I don't know what it is or what to do with it, and I need help. And then obviously that's when Luke goes, you need a teacher and things. But I guess, can I just like go into it? Like, why?
Go for it.
It's funny because I've mentioned this actually because I've been doing kind of, I guess, a documentary series. I don't know. It's a lot of people sharing their moments that Star Wars meant to them. And I've done 2 episodes now. I did one for International Women's Day and then one for Father's Day. And I actually shared this moment, but it spoke to me on many levels. At first, it spoke to me kind of like as someone who was dealing with an epilepsy flare-up, because I have epilepsy, and when this movie came out, I was kind of in the midst of that. And so when she says something, it's always been there, and I'm afraid I don't know, I do know what it is, but it's one of those, and I don't know, there's that whole film, she kind of fights this, I'm obviously different, but I and people, they don't mean to, but they treat me a little different now, especially like with the big reveal of her lifting the rocks. Like, no one talks about it, but it's like, what are Finn and Poe going to say? And I wish they'd kind of touch on this in the novels, but anyway, that's hearsay. But this also, when I watched this monologue, it's shot so beautifully well and acted like that hesitation, like half that clip you just showed is her just finding the words, like, that's sometimes hard to just even find. How do you explain something? And that can be either, be it an illness or an addiction coming out as an orientation, so it doesn't just have an LGBT kind of stamp to it, but and I think that's why I also like this scene. It can call to so many people, but for me, it's just finding that vocalization, because once you vocalize it, not only are you sharing it with others, but you're also finally kind of admitting it to yourself. And I see that in that scene where it's like she can't even find the words. Like, I mean, she even takes a pause and a breath, and it's just like, okay, it's kind of like almost like, am I going to say this? Oh, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this out loud. And so that can also translate to, coming out and as someone in the LGBT community. So it just, and also there's no fancy editing. I think it only cuts back to Luke twice, and it's it's framed very well, and it's just played out so simple. Obviously, like we said, the Force theme slowly starts playing, but it's so just simple and intimate, and that's what I really liked about that scene. And it just, you saw me probably in the reaction, just was like, has me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I remember seeing that scene for the first time, and actually thinking it was one of the more standout moments of the film for me. It's like there's something beautiful about its subtlety. You're right about the way it's shot, the way it's lit. I think there's something very universal about having something that you don't know how to say. I think that's especially so for different people of different communities. Far less so, I dare say, for people like myself, probably. Like, but still watching it, I could see other people in it. I could see things that have happened to people around me in my life, sort of through that lens, I think. And you're right, the way Daisy plays it, oh God, it's beautifully acted. Yeah,
there's a vulnerability there, like, and I think she's definitely. I really hope like she can get out of the Star Wars bubble, because she can play. She's a film actress, because the thing about like, you know, theater, you need to be big and out there because you need the people in the back to see you.
To see you.
But with film, you obviously, it's really here, and she really plays that so well, and it's really shown in this movie. I think maybe that's why I love this movie so much, is her acting, Adam's acting, and let's talk. I mean, Mark Hamill's acting. I mean, even that. I mean, I respect if some people are like, he's not my Luke, I don't like that direction. Totally fair play. You know what? Fair. But pull that aside, not make him the character of Luke Skywalker for a minute, but Mark Hamill playing a character, and he just is just yeah. So I think that's why I mean, you can tell I go the right direction. I got like mirrored. Sorry, you know, I got both. You know, Last Jedi kind of in there and everything. So yeah.
Well, I did put a thing on Facebook this morning that basically said, who in Star Wars, an actor or a creator, do you think deserved an Oscar, or at least a nomination for what they did? And a lot of it was Adam, Daisy, and Mark Hamill in Last Jedi, because like, I mean, I think the scenes I focused on was more for the Oscar stuff, was like the throne room scene. Like that for me, like I remember watching that, and when Adam Driver's just like, no, you're still holding on and all that, I remember just being like, holy shit, this is like, I'm in a cinema with 300 people because I'm at the premiere, and it's like, nope, no one else is here. I am just, there's that screen of light, and it's just, that's it. And just completely absorbed by it. And then just watching that little clip just then, you're just like, yeah, this is a fairly perfect movie, because the way, like the technology, the technical prowess is just incredible. And just to be like this huge blockbuster, massive space opera is like, no, we're going to boil it down to two people in a cave. It's going to be shot, reverse shot. Very, very simple. And for me, I think it's actually quite weird, because I hadn't really thought about it until we started talking about this now. But when I saw this movie, and actually, incidentally, before we started recording, we were talking about the last time we saw our parents. So I'm English. I live in Australia. My parents are English, and they live in Spain. And I haven't seen them since 2018. But in 2017, I saw them as well. And I think it was like we went to Vietnam and met them on Christmas Eve. And during that holiday, I had to tell them that I had been diagnosed with depression. And it was the same sort of thing of like trying to find the moment to have that conversation, and trying to like, do I tell them both? Do I just tell my mom? Do I just tell my dad? My older brother was here. Should I tell him? Should I bring him into it? And then having that moment where me and my mum were just like having a cup of tea or breakfast, and having to say like, Mum, can we have a word? You know, and just actually having that. And it's a horrible thing, because you rehearse it in your head, but then when you actually have to sit and say the words, it's like, oh, there was no point rehearsing it, because I've forgotten the English language now. And yeah, so it's actually interesting that didn't even occur to me till just watching it then, and being like, oh yeah, no, I have had that experience. And that was what it was like, you know. Yeah.
It's a whole kind of full circle. And again, that's why I really love that moment, that it can appeal to anybody. And I think that's kind of the point. Like, maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on it, and that's great that it's like, I mean, I found two moments in just one, you know, scene. You found one yourself. I mean, everyone will. I mean, I've had people like they wanted to share with me kind of an addiction. And I just remember being in a coffee shop and them telling me, and they literally were just like that, to the point I was like, you can do it. It's okay. Like, because it's one of those, it's so frightening, because yeah, you're right. You absolutely lose the English language, because then once it's out there, you can't take it back. Like,
bell can't be unrung.
And then you're just like, your life could change for better or worse. You know, a lot of people have different experiences with that. And yeah, it's not easy. I think mine, I just blurted it. I was on the phone with my mom, and I just kind of blurted it out loud, kind of thing. But Yeah, because for me, this is kind of the first time this year that I've kind of presented myself as, yes, I am an LGBT, content creator. Like
Yeah.
I just I don't wear that on my sleeve, and when people do, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm very kind of private with that. But so this is like my first time kind of like really going, yes, I put the B in LGBT, and yeah, I don't really yeah, so it's kind of my first time talking so frankly about it, I guess.
Yeah. How have you found that experience and making that shift publicly and in fandom?
It's interesting because like not a lot's changed. Like luckily I haven't like lost creators like followers or anything. But I especially in this kind of climate right now, I don't, it's one of those, I mean, kind of like, this is me, and if you don't, not to sound harsh, like if you don't like it, like bugger off. I don't mean it like that. It's kind of like this is, if I'm not for you, that's okay. There are 40,000 other people that are, but so I haven't really found anything different. Just some people kind of going, oh hey, we could talk to you during this month or whatever. So nothing super different, but it is interesting though, because this time I am, like I said, I've been doing this the moment Star Wars spoke to me. I have another one coming out. Sadly, that's just missing Pride Month, which is interesting that Pride Month is in June when the Stonewall riots happened in July, which I haven't. I could be wrong. I want to say it's July 1st to like the 7th. The Stonewall riots were.
Not really something that we get taught in England. I've learned about the Stonewall riot via Twitter.
I had to look it up. Yeah, I had to look it up because I was thinking of a release date for this, because the next one is LGBT content creators and fans just sharing their moments kind of thing. And
June 28th.
So, I don't.
Oh, there you go.
What was
June
it?
28th.
Oh, I apologize. Okay.
June. Yeah, no. So right at the end there.
Right at the end there,
yeah. So funny enough, that will be almost the day we premiere this, I think.
Yes. Yeah, actually, it will be.
That works out.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. The more you know, have a little rainbow kind of thing. We had that in America. The American audience will get that.
The more you know. No, I know the more you know. I think I know it from like Family Guy or The Simpsons or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a thing that happened like in the late 80s, early 90s. That it was you'll find gifs of it and all sorts of stuff. So I mean, as you can see, I'm still learning in my own community kind of the history and things. So actually that now makes sense why June is Pride Month, because here in England, Pride is literally like all the big cities purposely do theirs different months so they're not competing with each other. So for example, Brighton, where I live, theirs is always in August. London is always like the first week of July. Like there's not a lot of, so I think they purposely do that. So obviously everyone, Birmingham is another one that I think that one might be June, but so they don't compete with each other and things.
I think we do that here because I think Mardi Gras is different in Sydney and Melbourne. Oh, is it in Melbourne? Did we have it in Melbourne?
No. So Mardi Gras
just Sydney.
Just Sydney. Yeah.
I feel like there's some...
interesting, because Mardi Gras means something different to me.
Because Mardi Gras is something Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, something.
Yeah. So Mardi Gras is also what we call Pancake Day here in England.
Yes.
But it's the day before Ash Wednesday and before
Shrove Tuesday.
So it's Shrove Tuesday. So it's very interesting that you call it Mardi Gras. I love that, where it's like we're separated by a common language.
Yeah.
We've got someone who's American, British, Australian, and it's just kind of
It's all just chaos. I do become officially Australian on the 15th of July. I get my citizenship. So that'll be pretty cool. And also, sorry to go back. Obviously, Shannon, we will talk to you after this month as well. Because some people want to talk, because we're like, okay, so we've spoken to Shannon. Okay, so next June maybe we'll speak to her again. But for now, okay, we don't need to acknowledge her anymore. Okay, next person. What's July? No, we will talk to you again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
But I get what you mean though. It must be. It's very different, I guess, for me and Matt, because we just sort of put ourselves in the world and we're just like, we're this is it. Whereas there's so many other creators who have to take that other stuff with them and then you're not just a content creator, you are a something content creator. And it sort of changes, probably doesn't change anything that you do. Like, but before you did that and after you did that, you're doing the exact same content, but suddenly it becomes this sort of, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, like a lightning rod for dickheads, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing, because again, that this will never be something that me and Matt really have to go through. We are just simply, we make content. We like Star Wars. We're a bit of a we're pains in the ass, and that's it. So it's yeah.
I think I'm quite lucky too, because I don't, like I said, that's why it's been an interesting month for me, because I don't sit here and go, oh, I'm a bisexual female Star Wars content creator, because I don't. I'm just like, I like Star Wars just like you. I don't see any difference. So there's something to obviously be proud of too, and it's kind of like, I sometimes don't realize that is unique kind of thing. But yeah, so I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I don't like kind of sit there and go, oh yes, I'm gonna rally for this kind of thing. I like Star Wars just like you guys, and I make content, and So I don't know. Maybe it is the bisexual in me that I fall for this first, and then gender and everything is an afterthought and things. So yeah.
I guess as something that is confronting when you're trying to like come up with content and all this sort of stuff, and when you're looking for people to talk to and you're looking for things that are happening in the world and all that sort of stuff, like there was a moment, and I'm not ashamed to say it, where I was scratching my head and I'm going, who do I know? And it's, I think the isolation of living where we are is a little bit, has a little bit to do with it. It's like there's Star Wars people around, but it's not like walking down the street in in LA where it's just like there's a Star Wars fan, there's a Star Wars fan, there's a Star Wars fan. So there's that level of it. Low population. I know queer people. None of them are Star Wars fans. None of them are creators. But yeah, then trying to find people to speak to, I was just like, God, that's what was confronting. It was like, for all the networking and all that sort of stuff that I've tried to do and trying to meet people, and half the point of putting this show together was trying to meet new people from different parts of the world, from different backgrounds and with different experiences. And sometimes it's a little bit of an awakening to say, you don't know that much about the people that you're interacting with other than Star Wars. How do you strip that layer back? And I think that's, at least speaking selfishly from the straight white man perspective, as one that wants to learn about these things and wants to learn about other people's experience and build from it. Like, I love things like, I love points in time like Pride Month, because it gives people like Sean and I that opportunity to actually say, is this for some people that we know? Who do we know? And then we just go, oh fuck, really? Like, talk to us about that. Tell us about that. Share your experience with us about that. Like, because otherwise we may never get to see it.
Yeah. And I wanted to say it's really awesome as like allies. Like when you guys reached out, I was like, absolutely. And that's really cool to kind of share your platform as well. It doesn't have to be like, oh, we're this inclusive group that only LGBT creators only promote other LGBT creators and things like that. So I thought that was really wonderful as well too, because like I said, one of the things that you just said, like it's I'm gonna get a bit personal now, but like I grew up in the Bible Belt, so it's weird from even me now as a 34-year-old woman to use the weird word queer, because where I came from, that's a very derogatory term, and it was really terrible for the gentleman. And so I understand, you're taking the word back and things like that, but I can't even, I literally like kind of cringe inside when I say it, and not because it just feels wrong. And I remember being with a bunch of, redneck rednecks and going, oh, pardon. I guess I can swear on this one. You guys swear.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like, oh, you're fucking queer. And I was very blessed. Like, my parents totally embraced me, embraced my wife, everything. But it was the environment I was around, and just hearing things like, and again, I always knew something. I was always different when I was like maybe 14. So I mean, young, like before puberty even hit. But then it was one of those like, but then I also still liked guys, and because at the time I thought you were one or the other. And
Yes.
one was good, one was bad, one was going to hell, one wasn't. I didn't realize there was this middle ground. And I mean, I'm even still fighting that now in either community where like, you're like, oh hey, I'm bisexual. They're kind of like, okay, so you're not like fully, and each side feels like threatened almost. And I used to laugh because I used to say to people, I'm like, yes, I'm a bisexual woman in a monogamous relationship. I think that's the biggest misconception is, and I think what for me, want to see representation wise is not have the bi characters always be these promiscuous people. Who did it most recently was Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey.
I did not see that movie,
catch it?
But I know that he did.
Okay. Did you catch it? It's so quick. I hope you don't mind me, Sean. It's not going to spoil, but basically,
no, I don't care. It's not
it's
not
such a good movie too. Like, I'm so bummed. Okay. It's not Suicide Squad. Like, it's what Suicide Squad should have been. But she does kind of like this funky kind of backstory about her. Her usual like monologue, and there are these graphics, and it's like, I think it's like a graphic of her dating people. Yep. Very quick, but one of them is a chick, and then it moves on. And that I like that subtlety. Like, it's not bang you over the head like, hey, you're a bi character kind of thing. And so I think, but it is tricky because obviously intimacy is a very private subject. So how do you then, it's obviously tricky and a fine line, and I understand that. I think as someone who kind of works in the industry and things, it's not that simple, and trying to find that balance and things. But I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me is like finding that where these characters aren't these promiscuous ones, because trust me, we're not. I'm not.
Well, it's the trope, isn't it, of like, or it has been in the past, like the bisexual villain, because it's sort of this idea that they are like, a bisexual person is inherently untrustworthy because you think one thing, but they're actually the other thing, but they're actually, and I can't even think of a good example now, but I remember being on Twitter and seeing this massive thread, and it was just like, it was just like gay tropes we want to be rid of, and it was like the gay character getting killed off, no gay characters have sex on screen, bi characters are evil, and so on. And it was fascinating for me because like, and one of them was that all gay love stories end in tragedy, which is so common, like any yes. And I'd written a book at the time, and it had two characters, two male characters who fall in love. And when that happened, I was like, right, now how am I going to make this sad? Like, how am I going to make this a sad ending? Because as far as I knew, I was just like, oh, that's what happens. That's what happens to these characters. And then when I looked at that thread, I was like, oh, what if I gave them a happy ending? And I did, and the book's much better. But for me, I was just like, oh, no. Brokeback Mountain, Heavenly Creatures, My Beautiful Laundrette. No, it never works. It always has to end in tragedy. And it's very interesting to see we are very slowly, but we are moving away from those sort of tropes very slowly.
But I guess, but at least the conversations are happening. As you'll see, I am a painfully half glass full person.
Yeah, but that's good.
So I'm
that's a positive thing.
You were mentioning, slightly going off topic, when you were mentioning the Star Wars Squadrons, like I'm so pumped for that game, and I'm really going to start kind of like following, making videos, things about it, because again, going back to The Last Jedi, I was thinking about that scene where it's like, Yoda says to Luke, failure the greatest teacher is, and it's one of those is EA kind of doing that now. They're making sure there's no microtransactions,
Yeah.
But obviously it's the creative process, because video games are a creative process. They're a technical creative process. It's a learning experience. You get but you have to be a business. So it's very much kind of finding that, again, balance. That's kind of a common word in our community, in our Star Wars world. But I'm you know what, I'm excited, and I'm very hopeful for that game and things. And so I'm not even a first person playing kind of person, but so I guess that's what I'm meaning. It's like, at least back to the community stuff, those things are starting to happen. Of course, obviously not as fast as we'd like it, but it's happening. Like, I'm so excited. They just literally announced, I think as of this recording yesterday, that they're redoing Splash Mountain, and it's going to be Princess and the Frog, and not that kind of Song of the South.
Oh, that's good.
And some people are like, oh, well, they're just, pandering to no. They've had this plan for a while to have like that concept art and things. They didn't just make that like
like just maybe they announced it early, but that's
what I think happened. Like, I mean, the announcement may have come out early, but so I'm excited. So I mean, and of course that makes sense. That would be perfect for that ride. It doesn't just feel again, shoehorned, because that's the other thing, is like, you don't want that like shoehorned moment, because like, let's talk about that kiss that happened in Trost. I'm happy it's there, but it does feel a little shoehorned.
It feels as though it'd be very easy to just like chop it out for like the overseas market. The Chinese and Saudi Arabian.
Let's say overseas market, but
they did. They chopped it out for all of Southeast Asia and some other countries.
Because if you say it's just like, and the characters, it's Commander Darcy, and it is. I did know the other woman's name, but I've forgotten it. But I know the actress played Rosa Parks in Doctor Who, and that is my Doctor Who reference for this stream. I am still doing them.
That's awesome.
But Commander Darcy is one of my favorite characters. Again, going back to The Last Jedi, I think she's incredible. Like, just this, just one of. I want a whole like young adult series that's just like Leia and Holdo and Commander Darcy just having adventures.
That'd be awesome.
Great.
I
guess.
Anyway, you were talking.
That's okay. No. I can know like how you take it, because like, for example, in Endgame, I was like, I would love to have that Women of Marvel moment, and I got it, and I absolutely love it. I am like, yes, what? And then another good friend of mine, she was like, absolutely hate it. It's so cringy. And I was just like, really? So I say that the same with the Trost kind of kiss. Some people are going to love it. That's great. And, it just, for me, it felt a little just shoehorned in. But again, half glass full. We got it. So, and I'm learning by doing this, the moment Star Wars spoke to me with love, that there are more like LGBT kind of characters and things in the books. So the next step is now to get it in, what I would like to say is get it in the films or the TV shows, but have it be subtle. Like, I didn't, like, for me, for example, like, I worked on the Dark Crystal, and what I love about the Dark Crystal, there's two dads. One of the main characters, Deet, and she literally just like, oh, my dad's, and that's it. There's no like, to the point we had to like go, hang on a second, and and I didn't even notice this until I watched it on Netflix. It wasn't even until like, so when I was working on it, didn't even notice it. That's what I would like. It's there, but it's not a, hey, let's make this obvious. Another good film.
To go back to Doctor Who. Doctor Who does that very well.
Does it?
It does.
Nice.
Sorry, continue. Sorry, I interrupted.
And what was another one that was a really good? Oh, Booksmart. How we were talking about tragic characters
on my list.
What I liked was, it was just, yes, there was, I'll try to use the word queer character, but what I liked was that the love story wasn't, it was just like, a straight character. They just treated like, go get him. There wasn't this overemphasis on it kind of thing. Like, it was treated like it's normal kind of thing, because sometimes an overemphasis is then But everyone's
Yeah.
different. Everyone has different wants and things in the community. So I'm not bashing if they want something a bit more
Yeah,
full.
yeah.
But I mean, I think me and Matt talked about this recently, actually, this idea of like, because there's a lot of complaints now about obviously things being changed in light of like the Black Lives Matter things and like, but also as well, like Star Wars having the kiss and the books, like Chuck Wendig went through a whole thing when he put, a gay character in the Aftermath series, and he got, before the book had even been released, or practically before it had been released, he was getting 1-star reviews and stuff like that. But these people who are making these big complaints, they are the dying breed, because stuff is moving more towards, like you say, that subtlety, just weaving it into the fabric of the thing that's being made. And these people can scream all they want on YouTube, but the creators are just like, nope, this is what we're going to make, because this is what people want. And fuck those people who have the problems.
Yeah. It's a very, very current in the last sort of week thing that's been popping up quite a bit, because obviously The Last of Us 2 came out.
Yes,
and,
of course.
You know, like that's Jesus. Fuck, the discourse around that is a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, said to me, he goes, Matt, I'm having my own private Last Jedi moment with this, because he started reading what has been going on and like what people have been saying and the review bombing and all that stuff. And like, people, I feel like it is a Last Jedi moment, because I mean, fuck, this is a sequel to a game where the character was gay in the first one. Like, that hasn't changed. Now it's this shoehorn, let's get angry and all this stuff. It's like, fuck these people. God, take their voices away from them. Just if you're not going to use your eyes and watch the thing and pay attention to it, take your eyes away, because you don't get to then talk about it and review and have your opinions. That's the way I feel about it. Just fuck off. Anyway.
But that's the thing you've got to, I mean, that's the thing that keeps me sane. It's just like, these people must be a dying breed. They must be. There must be more of us than them. But I think the people who enjoy, like, and again, this is something I've said a million times, of like, the people who enjoy the things enjoy them, and then they kind of share it with their friends or whatever. But the people who hate it try to get this platform and get other people to hate it. Whereas I know people who don't like my friend Keith hates The Last Jedi. We're still mates. It hasn't broken up our friendship. We just don't talk about The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like,
we move around
politics over the dinner table.
Exactly. It's that's it.
I mean, we're healthy, to be honest.
It that thing of trying, like, you hate some things, you're like, okay, well, my only goal now is to get other people to hate the same thing. You're like, no, don't do that. That's insane.
Like,
it's so exhausting.
Like, I think it was in The Help, where she goes to the woman. She's like, "Aren't you tired? Aren't you?" I think it's, I could be wrong, and I'm not going to try to do a accent, because I don't want to seem like I'm characterizing there. But in this beautiful kind of Southern accent, it's just like, "Aren't you tired? Like, really? Do you really want to keep fighting? Like, there's so much, especially now with like COVID and everything that's gone on." We were talking in our episode, Sean, about when you guys are having those horrible fires. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yes.
So much. There's more. Like, it's not worth it. Like,
there's a lot of shit.
If the worst thing that is happening to you currently is that there's a gay person in a video game, you're fine. Things are all right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth that. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a dick who's got a YouTube channel, and he's the bane of our existence as a Star Wars fan, or as anything fan. And he sort of made it his mission to like go after the creators of Last of Us, and now his Twitter's been suspended. And hopefully that's the last we ever see of him. But it won't be. He'll find a way to weasel back in. But you've got to assume that you see a lot of these channels where there's a lot of channels who exist purely just to be pissed off about Brie Larson in Captain Marvel, and then gradually people are like, "Oh, I got over that." that film was actually pretty good, and then gradually their sort of their viewership dwindles, and then they have to try and find something else, and then there isn't anything else, and then they just so hopefully that just continues.
I've noticed this because one of the guys, Andy, in the network, bless him, such a gentle, kind soul, was talking about the Father's Day episode I made for the moment. Star Wars spoke to me, and he was just like, you know, we need this positivity right now. And it's funny, I don't make content and think, oh, I'm going to make something positive. I just make content. But I know clickbait, unfortunately, sells, but I can't do it. I just seem so toxic, and I just am not wired that way. Like you look at most of my Twitter, every response is me going to like a cosplayer and going, oh, you smashed it, or someone who's having a hard day being like, you got this, you know, because there's 20 people who are going to be like bashing The Last Jedi or, you know, Last of Us or a lot of the last kind of thing. But, it's not worth it. Like,
no,
I understand being like angry or disappointed. I mean, there was definitely things in The Rise of Skywalker that I'm not a big fan on, but it's funny, by doing like the Father's Day episode and like talking to people, you know, that theme of found family and choosing your own name and things like that has helped me through their voices kind of go, but you know what? Okay, I get it. And I'm really happy for you. And, you know, the headcanon is just...
But that's it. Like, having, like, I don't like The Rise of Skywalker. Matt does, and I'm so happy that he does. Yeah. I do not spend my time. If he says to me, oh, I like this scene, I don't go, sorry, dude, but you're wrong because of da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay, well, why do you like it? And he tells me, and I end up being like, oh, shit. That's interesting. That's food for thought. And I have a bit of a think about it. Or I'm just kind of like, it didn't work for me. And that's it. Because I'm not a psychopath, you know, I guess. That's probably what else.
Not this week, anyway.
Not for this particular stream.
Yeah, it's not even the weekend. It's probably a good segue, Shannon, just to sort of talk about like the channel, the podcast, and obviously I say the channel because I know you upload it to YouTube as well. But yeah, sort of just give a bit of a talk about, like, I guess, what you do there, why you do it, and how people can find it, I guess.
Yeah. So I do a podcast, part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network now, but it's called Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge. And mine is kind of like every episode is from like a canon planet, and we kind of get like a little history on that planet. And then I'm running out of kind of planets people know, so I usually would go to the content creator, like I'd go to, and you know, Sean, and be like, so what's your favorite planet, and then we'd go there. But I've had to have one repeat already of Tatooine, so it's one of those kind of things. But and we just kind of, I'm not like the news one, I never was before I joined the network, so mine's a bit more reflective or things. And then I also kind of do kind of like these like documentaries right now, where it's like called The Moment Star Wars Spoke to Me. So I've got 4 total, so I'm working on the 3rd one and have a 4th one coming out. And then I also do a lot of game streaming actually on Twitch, so you'll see it in the streamers links as well, because that's actually perfect, because that will find everything. But yeah, I do kind of Star Wars gaming streaming right now. I'm doing my lunch, well, not today because it's way too hot, but do a lunchtime lockdown series where I do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday we'll do some Battlefront 2, and Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll do I'm doing my first playthrough of Jedi Fallen Order, finally. You know, I'm very
so lucky. That game is tight.
It's funny because I just wrote this in an article actually on the beyondtheblastdoors.com, where I said, if you watch me, like every time I stop and look at the environments and go, oh wow, it's like drinking game worthy, like
oh no, definitely
do an emoji of like clinking steins.
That game really is worth that too. Like there are so many jaw-dropping scenes in that where you're just like, just want to live there.
Straight away. Even with like the junkyard at the start, I was just like, as soon as the guy was like, I'll meet you over there, you climb over it, I'm like, this game's going to be tight.
It's a lot of epic fails on my part, because it's one of those, man, if you don't have Cal just in the right, and I double, because I play on console, I keep double jumping, so I forget like jump once, so the amount of times I've like let go of a rope or something, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Okay, I have
yeah.
to mute the mic because I try not to swear a lot on my Twitch or
Yeah.
podcast or anything. This is like the first time I'm like, okay, a few F-bombs have come out, but
Let rip.
but yeah, so I have to mute the mic quite a bit on that one. I'm just like, ah! But, so yeah, that's pretty much me. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff on my Twitch, which is shenanigan_plays, and then also PCGE_podcast on Twitter as well.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Shannon, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on for the first time. It won't be the last time.
Thank you.
And yeah, thanks for taking time out of the middle of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah, obviously this episode is going to be coming out at an odd time for us. So people that have popped into the premiere of it and have been having a chat, thank you as well. We appreciate you tuning in as always. Sean, do you want to take us out?
Yes, with my traditional song. Oh no, it's this thing. Yeah, so come find us on Facebook and YouTube. We are the Blue Bantha Milk Co. Tweet at us, Blue Bantha Milk. Yeah, just get on that Twitter. Find that meme that I posted and share it. You'll know the one. Get on patreon.com and come find us and give us some money so we can keep the lights on. And I did have a bit of a thing. I've got my light here and I'm like, oh, I look so pale in this light, but it turns out I'm just really pale. And then you can check
British.
out. Yeah, I got nothing. It's winter. I'm British and and also, check out our merch at shop.bluebanthamilk.co. Hoodies and
It's
t-shirts
awesome.
and the like. Yes,
I still need to get one, but I've loved your logo before even like
yes.
working with you guys. So it's like I need to get it. Like, yeah, it's amazing. Love it, love it, love it.
Quick little anecdote about that is when I was giving stickers out at Celebration last year, there were a number of people that just said, yeah, man, really cool logo. And I was like, it's a YouTube channel as well. And they're like, oh, is it? Like, yeah, it's got a web address on it.
It's on there, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it gets eyes on it.
Along the bottom.
Gets eyes on it.
So eye-catching. So eye-catching. So yes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a mouthful, but it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Cool. And thank you again, everyone. It's been a blast as always, and we will see you next time.